determine which plan you get into and pair that with an HSA for great tax planning opportunities, that can oftentimes be a great move for you. It's pretty easy to set up, works a lot like a checking account. Typically there's little to no fees on these, so you can go on to Fidelity, Optum, HSA Bank. There's several banks that have these HSA accounts available. Welcome in here, guys. I'm Payton Gillis with REI Tax University, where we talk all things tax planning for real estate investors. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about health savings accounts, HSAs, which is an incredibly powerful tax planning tool. It can be used by real estate investors, small business owners, or even just individual W-2 taxpayers. So let's get into what HSAs are and if you qualify to use one and if you should use one. So if you can use an HSA, it's a win-win. One of the few tax planning opportunities that actually allows for all three of these categories. That you get a tax deduction when you put the money in, it grows tax-free, and you don't have to pay tax when you take it out, as long as you're using it for qualified medical expenses. That is a rare win in the tax world. Typically you get one or the other. With retirement accounts, they say, hey, if it's traditional, you get the tax deduction when you put it in, grows tax-free, but when you take it out, you pay tax. If it's Roth, you don't get a tax break when you put it in, grows tax-free. When you take it out, you don't pay tax. So that's kind of the unicorn in the tax planning world as far as getting a deduction by putting it in, getting it tax-free when you take it out. So let's talk about how you can implement an HSA, or if you can. So to be able to contribute to a health savings account, you have to be in a qualified, high deductible health insurance plan. And what that means is each year they set limits on what a high deductible plan looks like. And they set two limits. They set what is the max out of pocket and what is the minimum deductible. So those are two numbers you need to know. They typically change each year for inflation. So definitely look them up. We're in 2025. So I'm going to give you the 2025 numbers that if you want to see, hey, are we in a qualified high deductible plan? Is this something we can use? There's a number if you're in an individual plan, and there's a number if you're in a family plan. So for an individual plan, the numbers are the minimum deductible on that plan is $1,650. So if your minimum deductible for the year is $1,650, you may qualify. You need to look at your max out of pocket. For the family plan, your minimum deductible is $3,300, right? So double it. So if your minimum deductible on a family plan is $3,300, then you may qualify. Go look at your max out of pocket. Now the max out of pocket in 2025 for an individual plan is $8,050. So if your max out of pocket is $8,050 and your minimum deductible is $1,650, you're in a qualified high deductible plan and you can contribute to an HSA that year. The max out of pocket for a family plan is $16,100 in 2025. So if you look at your family plan and minimum deductible is $3,300, max out of pocket is $16,100, then you qualify in a high deductible plan and you can qualify to contribute to a health savings account. So now how much can you contribute to the HSA in the year? Well, for an individual in 2025, you can contribute $4,300. Within the year, that goes into your HSA account. For a family, you can contribute $8,550. So those are the numbers that you can contribute each year. You actually have up until April 15th of the following year to make these contributions. So if you contribute throughout 2025 and then you get to early spring of next year, you're doing your tax returns and you realize, oh man, we have more of a tax hit than we thought, or I think I'd want to put some more money in that HSA for the coming year or to invest, you can do so and still get the tax break for the last year. It's kind of one of the few Hail Marys that you can do at that point. Again, those contribution numbers change a little bit each year for inflation, so they typically go up a little bit each year. But in 2025, those are the two numbers, $4,300 and $8,550. So now how should you use those HSAs? Well, first of all, it's not a use it or lose it. The HSA is an investment account, just like a retirement account. The only stipulation is that when you take this money out, it has to be used for expenses. Otherwise, you're going to pay a penalty and you're going to pay the taxes on it. As long as it's used for things like co-pays, as long as it's used for Band-Aids, Tylenol, you can look up what qualifies for HSA deductions, but there's a lot that qualifies. There's a few things that don't, some elective type stuff, some proteins and things like that you might think, oh, could that qualify? You know, people get out there with it, but a lot does qualify. So there's a few ways then you can use this account once you're putting money into it, knowing this is an account that is invested. It is typically market facing. There are ways to actually do a self-directed HSA, kind of out of the scope of this video. We won't get into those, but feel free to dive into those on your own if you want to. But it is invested and you will grow your money. Typically, as long as the market goes up over time, you're going to grow it based on that. And so you can put the money in and you can turn around and you can use it, right, for medical expenses. If you're going to the dentist and you're going to have $100 in co-pays, you could put $100 transferred in and pay it out of that HSA. And at least you've made that money tax deductible at that point. Second way is you can self-insure. So instead of just paying higher premiums every year and then potentially just losing out on that money if you don't use it. You're going to pay lower premiums on the high deductible plan, and you're going to fund your HSA that's, hey, if something happens, we've got this money there that I've been self-insuring with. So you can kind of use it as a self-insure and keep it invested if you don't need it. And the third way is just that, to use it more as an investment account, which is, if you're able to do it, a great tool, a great strategy. If all goes well and we live the lives we want to live, eventually we're going to need those medical expenses, or someone, if you pass it on, is going to need those. So it's just another kind of retirement vehicle and tool, so that when you get older and you need those medical expenses, you have it. It's grown tax-free in your HSA account. So you contributed that little bit each year, and now it's grown to a lot more. You can start to use that money to cover your health expenses, and you don't have to dive in your current earnings or your retirement withdrawals or things like that. So you can really use it as more of an investment account in that manner. So bottom line, HSAs are a great tax planning tool if you qualify. You definitely want to make sure that it makes sense for your whole medical plan and health plan. You want to be relatively healthy. If you're on a family, you want the family to be relatively healthy, because you are going to be using a high deductible plan. And if it doesn't make sense overall from an expense standpoint, then it still doesn't make sense. But if everyone's pretty healthy, you're on a high deductible plan, you can kind of determine which plan you get into and pair that with an HSA for great tax planning opportunities. That can oftentimes be a great move for you. It's pretty easy to set up, works a lot like a checking account. Typically there's little to no fees on these, so you can go on to Fidelity, Optum, HSA Bank. There's several banks that have these HSA accounts available, and you can kind of figure out, okay, this one's going to give me a debit card that I can use if I need it for the expenses, and this account, if I do this one, I have to submit my receipts and get reimbursements. There's all kinds of ways that they are set up to do, but relatively easy to set up and to use. Guys, I hope you found this video and this content helpful and useful. And if you did, feel free to like, subscribe, follow us for more content here, where we talk all things tax planning for real estate investors. Jump over to reitaxu.com if you are a real estate investor or professional and you want to join a community where we give tons of resources, tons of content that dives way deeper into this and gets into specific circumstances and situations and helps to put you in the best spot to reduce your taxes through your real estate investments. Appreciate you guys being here.